Morning again, everybody. My name is Brent Husson. I'm here to represent not BOMA today, but a group called Beacon. I know a lot of you probably got the email introducing this breakfast about education reform. That's a little strange. Why is BOMA having a breakfast about education reform? And my job today is to explain to you why I believe, anyway, education reform is probably the single most important thing that we can, as a community, engage in and accomplish that will allow you individually to benefit in your business. And let me give you a quick explanation of why I think so. Usually we talk about things that are germane to the real estate industry, and we're discussing a lot of problems nowadays. And I don't think that needs to be talked about anymore. But why are we in the situation we're in? Why is Nevada always either at the very top or at the very bottom when it comes to the economy? Why do we lead everybody out, and why are we the first ones in? My belief is that because we have a very narrow structure to our economy here in Las Vegas. We have one industry that dominates. And the reason we have one industry that dominates is because there aren't very many other industries that want to bring their jobs here, because we have a very poor record in education. There's some people in this room right now that could attest to the fact that it's very difficult to bring quality industries to this town. Now, it can be done with Herculean effort, and Ms. Beckman is probably the greatest example we have here of that happening. She helped bring the Ruruvu Brain Institute to town and the Cleveland Clinic, but she could probably tell you far better than I how difficult that was. Anyway, for our businesses to thrive in the future, it's my belief that we need to broaden the base. And as long as I've lived here since 2001, I've heard many business people say that. You know, we need to have a diversified industrial base here in town. We need to bring more businesses to town. But the thing you hear over and over again from these businesses that are looking to Nevada because of its generous tax climate is that, well, who are we going to have work in our businesses? Where are the people going to come from to staff these businesses? And the bottom line is they don't see a very good prospect for filling those positions with quality people. And I know that's a tough thing to say, and people might not want to face that truth, but it is a fact. If you look at the brochures that we've handed out with Beacon on the top, there's 3 or 4 bullet points there that talk about some of the germane statistics about our elementary and high school education. If you can believe this, 47%, our graduation rate in Clark County is 47%. That means half of our kids don't graduate high school. If you go down further to the bottom point, it talks about 40% of 4th graders graduate 4th grade. That means they move on to 5th grade and they can't read. They score below average in reading assessment, and that's a national standardized test that everybody in 3rd grade takes. That means we're promoting 4 out of every 10 to the 5th grade knowing that they can't read. And to make that a little more powerful, we have over 20,000 4th graders graduating 5th grade every year. So that's 8,000 kids every year that go to 5th grade that can't read. I don't know about you, but to me that speaks volumes about what our education system is doing. And it's not pointing fingers at any particular group or person. It simply means that we as a community are failing our children. And that's why I personally got involved. I'm no different than any of you. I have one daughter. She's 10 years old. She's going to be going into 4th grade, and she attended public school. And the reason I took her out is because I didn't feel like I was getting the interaction from the principal that I thought I needed to make sure she was getting a good education. And I was able to take her and put her in a private school, but I started thinking about the fact that what if people that don't have the freedom, it's not really the price of the private school, but it's the ability, because I'm a business owner, I can go out there today and interview principals and talk, and I have the freedom to move around. A lot of people don't. They go to their job in the morning, they have to be there all day long. They don't have the opportunity to go talk to the teachers, go talk to the principals. And I thought, that just is fundamentally unfair. If you're going to pay to have your children educated, you need to be sure that when they go to those schools, that's happening. And there really is no way for someone who doesn't have the time during the day to make that happen. So I personally started investigating it, and I got involved with Beacon because they were trying to find solutions to this problem. And it's not a new thing. 30, 40 years now, we've been trying to find solutions to the problems with education in elementary and secondary education. And there have been as many solutions as you can count, and they've had varying degrees of success. the group that asked me to get involved with Beacon, I just told them, I said, look, I will get involved and I'll put a lot of time and effort into it, but I have to be sure that the program that I am supporting can be effective. I'm not going to go out and criticize the Clark County School District just because it's the fun thing to do and everybody can do it. I'm not going to criticize the teachers or the unions because they're an easy target. I need to know that there's real reform possible and that we can actually make a difference before I'm going to put my name on something. And over time, that took us about 2 months, it's just because we were starting from zero basically. We found a program called Empowerment. And I'm here to tell you today that it truly is the solution to underperforming schools, not only in Clark County, but across our country. And I don't expect you to take my word for that. We have 2 speakers here today that are going to explain to you first how empowerment got started. And it got started about 35 years ago in Edmonton, Alberta. And we are very lucky today, all of us in this room, to have a gentleman here that actually was the person that invented, for lack of a better word, empowerment. What he did is he applied free market principles to education. And the reason I came to know Mr. Strembitsky is through a book by a gentleman named William Ucci. He wrote a book, he's a UCLA professor who did a lot of work with businesses and how to decentralize and take advantage of decentralization and make the business work. And then he applied that to the school system. And he used Mr. Strembitsky as the model of how it works. And for the last 15 years, the Edmonton school system has been known throughout the world as probably the best school system. They've had remarkable achievements. And so before I go any further and talk more about Beacon, I'm going to ask Mr. Strembitsky to come up and explain to you all the origins of empowerment schools and the successes that have been achieved in Edmonton specifically, but across our country as well by school systems that have adopted that approach in one form or another. And that way you all can get a better idea of where empowerment comes from and what its possibilities are. And then after Mr. Strembitsky's done, I'll introduce our next speaker. Mike?